Hello and welcome to a new edition of Talking Smack. I'm Drew Juicel, and with me this week are Christian Vincent and James Warburton. Hello.
Howdy do.
Hello. Basically, we're going to, as you know, we're all kind of in various different parts of the country at the moment, so we apologise for any streaming or sound issues that may arise from that, but we're doing our best to keep going as we can. So it seems a bit of a weird question, but Christian, what have you been up to?
Well, do you know what? I thought I spent too much time outside, so I decided to get real and spend time inside. A bit of video editing, a bit of work I'm having to carry on, and a little bit of sun shining. How about you, James?
Catching up on a lot of shows and TV and that, obviously, and doing a bit of work at home and experimenting with my new laptop, which I am on right now for this Skype call. So been doing a bit of artwork, found a few programs that are quite good for that.
We can see it in your glasses, mate.
Yeah, it's brilliant, isn't it?
I mean, obviously we are in a situation where we're not doing much. Having said that, I have been really busy all the time since I've not been at work. I've been learning a video editing program. I've been recording videos for the YouTube channel. I've been setting up my studio, which has been sitting around in pieces since, for 2 years. So it's quite nice to actually have my studio set up now. And I've been reading books and sitting in the garden and generally enjoying not being at work every single day, which is kind of like a strange takeaway from the situation we find ourselves in. But there you go.
So having set up your studio, what are you going to spend the next couple of weeks doing?
I'm not going to be here.
Finally going to Sam's, are you?
I'm off to see my family tomorrow, yes. So it's been 3 weeks since I've seen my daughter, so it will be nice to spend some time with them for about a day.
Six months.
And then I want to come home again. No, not really. So I think, obviously, the elephant in the room really is what's happened to the industries that we generally talk about in the light of the current situation. And whilst some people have suggested that we shouldn't really discuss this because we should keep it light-hearted and everything else, I think we can do both. I think we can be light-hearted and still discuss what the hell is going on. We'll steer away from the darker side and the general bad vibes that are following this thing around, and we'll stick with talking about what we know, so which isn't a lot. So so let's start with how it is. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll start with how it's affected my business personally, and then we'll go on to talking about the general industry and then games and films and TV and everything else. So basically, the shop has now been completely closed for 2 weeks. Luckily, Diamond Comics, the distributor... What the hell is he doing?
It looks like you, Drew.
Yes.
Hey,
yeah.
Is that that's where you've been working in the meantime, isn't it, Drew?
Okay.
Amazon Logistics.
So in my what? I just don't get it. I don't know why I get you guys on this bloody thing. So my shop's been shut for 2 whole weeks now, and Diamond Comics, in their wisdom, decided to stop that week's delivery and have not produced any comics. Well, not produced, but not delivered any comics since. Generally, the comics industry has completely closed down. DC have said they're looking at a multi-distributor model, which is kind of interesting in the States because Diamond are the only distributor. So if they go multi-distribution, I don't know. Are you having fun there, James?
I was trying not to make any noise.
Yeah, you failed badly.
Yeah.
So the good thing is that because they stopped, some shops were still doing mail order and delivery like we attempted to do for a little while. But Diamond decided not to deliver to anybody to stop any shops having an unfair advantage on anybody else.
I don't know if it's happening to Christian as well, but your voice kept breaking up during that bit. I don't know if it's my connection or the recording. Was it breaking up for you, Christian?
Not on that section, but it did break up a little bit earlier on. But I'm hoping your recording's at least getting that stream through, Drew.
Probably. It's probably my amazing, sexy, dulcet tones that are causing it, really. I've not noticed any breakups here yet, so we'll keep going, and people will just have to fill in the blanks. So that'll be fun. And as it stands, the entire comic industry is on a hold. What?
What was that?
What was that?
I honestly don't know.
No clue.
That was you, Christian. Don't lie.
I wish it was. You said the entire comics industry is on hold.
Yes. As it stands, the entire comic industry is in a holding pattern. And I don't know how it's going to come back, or when, or how that's going to look, really, and whether it's going to be a situation where they just pick up from where they paused it, or onwards and onwards. I don't know. And unfortunately, nobody does.
But do you think, Drew, in terms of the comic industry, it's probably actually just about the right time? If you look at DC, they've changed their leadership. We've spoke about that on one of the previous podcasts, if memory serves, and what the impact of that might be. That rewrites their next 5 years worth of storytelling automatically. So it gives them a bit more time to take a step back, reconsider where they want to go, reshape, re-edit and go. And I guess as a creator, especially if you're pumping out books every week, every 2 weeks sometimes, and you're sacrificing quality, it allows them a bit more time to layer in the stories and hit a bit of quality as well. On the Marvel side, we've spoken about how House of X, Powers of X is a really good reboot of the mutant universe, but then it's kind of lost something along the way ever since then. So if they take the opportunity, it could be really empowering to really go back, look at the quality, raise the quality, and then recut the slate. And with the Marvel movieverse, cancel half of it and then start again.
Well, I mean, Marvel have already said that they're dropping 1/3 of their titles off the bottom of their range, which is something they should have done ages ago anyway, because they could lose 1/3 of the Marvel titles and there still be absolutely tons of rubbish left anyway. So you know, I mean, you've got lots and lots of good books, then you've got lots and lots of mediocre books, and then you've got lots and lots of really terrible books. So, you know, and they're not selling 1/3 of the books. Certainly not in my experience. 1/3 of the books don't sell anyway. So it's going to be interesting. And you're right. If they do take this time to take stock, see where everything is, because they know the thing is what is interesting is even when this is over, people aren't going to have massive amounts of disposable income. I mean, depending obviously on how long this goes on for, the shops aren't either. You know, the shops are going to have to cut their cloth accordingly. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. What do you think, James?
Well, it's a weird time for everybody, isn't it? So they've got to account for what's happening with the general public as much as themselves, haven't they? I know like there's a certain amount of work they could do from home in terms of producing the content, but distributing it, editing it, running it through the reviews and stuff like that just can't happen when you're social distancing. And what is the point of putting it out when people can't actually get it in their usual way? So they could carry on producing it and direct to the consumer, but then they do that and it puts places like yours out of business, because if people can find an easier, convenient way of getting it in the meantime, then and discover how convenient it is to do that, why would they then go back to taking a walk to the shop? So I think it does you a favour then pausing this as well to ensure that you're not going to lose the business to online.
Well, I mean, they could go down the digital route. I know that in America there is now, I can't even remember what it's called, which is good research by me. But there's a service that they're offering at the moment where you buy the online digital copy, so you can read it immediately, and then you get sent the paper copy afterwards. Now, that again, we then end up with a situation where some places are going to have it and other places aren't. So does that then mean that America, who've signed up to this thing, do they get a situation where they? I think you should make some more noise, James, because it's really not distracting in any way whatsoever.
No, my watch keeps buzzing because the work lock won't shut up, so I was trying to get rid of it so that wouldn't keep buzzing by the microphone. No, that was not the buzzing. That was you and your mosquito sound effect, Christian.
Anything to blame someone else.
So, anyway, how that plays out, I don't know, because they're obviously going to need new content in that case, which means that the new content will be available online. And therefore, do the people in the UK then decide what they do, whether they buy them online or are we paused in this country? And, you know, the problem is that you can't have one country delivering content and another country not, because obviously with the internet, you have got access to it no matter where you are.
I think you also have to look at the marketplace. So we know that the economy in the UK is losing something like 2.5 billion a day. It's kind of nuts because you've lost an entire retail space more widely, and you've had pretty much shut down across most of the factors. Many people are sitting at work. Some haven't got any money. Some people have got a percentage of what they used to have in terms of coming in. People don't have the disposable income they used to. People have been worried about their jobs or things more generally. So I think anyone who tries to launch something new is not going to get anywhere near the market penetration they want to. They're going to have to sit it off a bit and be first to market once everyone comes back out again, because what will happen is when everyone is let out, there's going to be such a desire to go out and to enjoy life again that whoever's ready for that will be in the right place. But I think people will be wanting to get out to shops. They'll be wanting to get out to the places they missed off on. They don't want to be sitting at home waiting for something coming through the front door. You've been doing that for months.
Yeah, I reckon you're probably right. But at the same time, I don't want to... When I get out, I've got to go back to work. That sucks.
I think it's the other way. We discussed this at work, a few of us, the other week before we locked down. And... like we feel like this is going to be the death of the high street, and it's going to be a heyday for online, because people who've never used online shopping before are suddenly using it and then are going to discover what a convenience it is for them. A lot of the people will suddenly think, why would I go back to the old way of doing it? And there's a lot of places that are going to lose their high street stands because of that. For example, John Lewis shut a lot earlier than a lot of companies, and that's because the majority of their sales are online. So they shut their shops because they knew they could survive with the online side of it. But the more people that can't get stuff by physically going to a shop now, the more people are experiencing the online availability of stuff, and the bigger chance those people will stick to that. And then when they get out of the lockdown, like Christian's saying, they're going to want to spend time. They're going to be spending that time doing stuff, not going to the shops. They're going to be spending that time going to the beach or going to the hills and stuff like that, and then still using the online stuff. You're laughing at the hills. You see the drone pictures the other day?
He liked the hills.
He's like, they're going to hills.
I was thinking, in a strange way, this reminds me of a quote from Buffy, which I'm going to completely misremember. But it's when Giles is trying to be encouraged to use the internet and to go away from books. And they say, you know, why do you like books? And he says, books smell. They smell. They have a texture. They have a feel to it. And as much as some people will transition online. That's true. There'll be an equal number of people who won't want to transition online because they couldn't get what they wanted when they went online anyway. And I think there'll be those who realise that actually having that tactile experience, getting your hands on stuff, talking to people is still something that's valued. So I don't think it's the death of the high street. I think it'll be the death of some of the high street. But the thing with the high street, if you go back 50 years, it looked nothing like it did today. And the death of the high street is when the greengrocers went, where the butchers went, and the high street survived. It just changed. Same with comic shops. Ever since the 1920s, comics have been around, and comic shops have changed over time. They're in a phase of being cool. They're becoming destinations, and I think as long as people stand out and offer something that's a little bit different, if you build it, they will come.
Oh no. I also think in a juxtaposition to what James was saying is that a lot of people are going to start to kick back against some of these big online retailers for the way they've treated their workers over this entire thing. And I think you can see already that there's a big campaign to stop using Amazon. There's a big campaign to stop using Sports Direct. There's a big campaign to stop using Witherspoons. There was a campaign to stop using Wilkinson's. All these companies that withdrew their support for their workers, especially the twat from Witherspoons who told his workers that they should go and work in Tesco's because he ain't going to pay them, and then so I think we might see people begin to push back against that. They might have to use it for the time being, but I think when they have more of a choice, we might see people being more socially conscious about these sort of things, because it has highlighted how much we need a local economy, and it has highlighted how much these big companies just take the piss out of their workers,
But to be blunt, and Drew's views are his own. Please don't sue us, sue him. Apart from that, I think back to McDonald's. So McDonald's had many scandals over the years. There were people putting out some fake news and some real news about its products. But their sales were as good as anyone's because they got the marketing right. They refreshed their range. They did things differently. Love them or hate them, they've got a product and they know how to sell it. It's the businesses that move and change. They're the ones that survive. So, yes, I know there are people who are going to go, I don't like them because of X, Y, and Z. But equally, there are going to be people who go, but I like what they do. I like the price. I like the products. I'm going back. And memories are ridiculously short for some people, a lot shorter than we would like them to be.
And the other sad fact, as we've learned in the last few years in this country anyway, is that the majority are the stupid. If we've learned anything from things like Brexit and voting certain people into politics, we are a minority in this country, the people who use their heads and use the intelligent choice. So your idea that people might fight back against the likes of Amazon, that's the educated people that actually have a conscience. Unfortunately, this country is made up of the majority of people who are too thick to actually think about that. They'll see a price tag, see a cheaper option, and not even think about what that actually did to the workers during the time.
Having said that, though,
it's a sad reality.
Well, possibly, but then a lot of low-paid workers fall into the demographic that you're talking about. So maybe they will look at their own personal situations and kind of come to a different conclusion. We can but hope, and whatever happens, the shop will be back open. For how long? Who knows? And when? Who knows? But for the time being, the sun's out, so happy days.
Well, not really. I can't go out in it.
I can, because I've got a garden.
It's 8:30. How on earth is the sun out where you are? Where are you, Marbella?
Australia.
Are we on a time lapse here? Are we responding to Drew's pre-recorded content?
So there is, on top of the comic industry, obviously there's been a big upheaval in the film industry. We've had films delayed. We've had Bloodshot released on digital, which I don't think was ever really a big thing because it's crap. What a shame. What a shame. That film could have been great. I mean, to be fair, it follows the line of the comic quite closely, but it's just not a very good movie. Stuart said he really liked it, but then that doesn't really speak for anything, does it? He likes absolutely everything. So, but we've had Ghostbuster Delay till 2021, which means Pete now has to wait an extra year for his crushing disappointment when he finds out it's rubbish. What are your thoughts on the film and industry?
We've lost a lot of big ones from current releases, haven't we? Like the first real one was the Bond film, and they announced that before the cinemas actually closed, didn't they? But since the cinemas have closed, obviously you've lost a lot more. So as you say, Ghostbusters, Black Widow's just been given its new date and everything. I think with the Marvel side of things, that knocks a whole side of it back as well, because all the stuff that was coming on Disney Plus was going to be intertwined into the new films. So by releasing delaying the releases of the films, they will now have to also delay the releases of some of the TV content, the Disney Plus content. It does mean that next year and the end of this year, there's going to be quite a deluge of films at once, because although there is only so many screens to put these films on, so are things going to get much shorter releases? Are the box office is going to be a lot smaller because there'll be a spread out over a lot more content? Are we going to have times where films that should have been a massive success are not going to be the success they should have been because they're up against something that's bigger and better? Whereas on the original release slate, they probably weren't going to be up against such competition. I think it's going to have a lot of different effects on a lot of different parts of it, really.
Christian?
Firstly, I could not be less interested in Black Widow as a film. I think when you kill off the character and then go and make one about why you should have cared about them in the first place, it's 5 years too late. And that's that reason I'm not that interested in it personally. You missed off Wonder Woman 1984, which was, I think, the first one that was next due out, though Bond was indeed moved first. But they're still hoping to get that out. I was just checking it out, and it looks like they're hoping for August, which I think is still a bit optimistic at this stage. But let's see how the summer progresses. In terms of the general film slate, I think it would be nice to think that they're going to hit us with a absolutely ramping up of quality in short order. My sense is that I think they might start dropping some of the indies, some of the smaller budget ones via video on demand and test that model out over the summer. And the big blockbusters, they're going to wait until the cinemas reopen because A, the cinema houses need the money, having sat empty for a few months. And B, they're going to want to get everyone back out and take the opportunity, like I say, of people coming out. In terms of things to look forwards to, who knows at this stage? But if they use half a minute to edit stuff, we might get a little bit of quality rather than this constant rush to get a film out and diluting the quality on the way to the cinema.
Well, I think the idea that at some point there's going to be all the films that have been delayed and then a load of other ones is a moot point, because all the film production is currently stopped as well. So there's not like they're backing up and backing up and backing up, and all of a sudden there's going to be a load of films all coming out at the same time, because everything that should be being made and released in that time is stopped. Tom Holland was on the thing the other day saying somebody asked him how the production of Uncharted was coming, and he said he literally turned up on set the first day and they said, no, we're closing down. So that was it. He turned up the first day to start filming Uncharted and it was shut. So it's not like they're continuing to produce movies and then there's going to be a load all coming out at once. At the moment, where it ended is where it will pick up. And I would imagine that they will go to releasing the ones that they have first now when it's safe, probably more so than when they start production again, because production does have a lot of people involved. Well, then, so just go to the cinema, I guess. So it's just, at the moment, you just can't see a time frame. And I think that's the worst thing about all of, well, it's not the worst thing about all of this, but, you know, it's a time frame. It's an open-ended, you know, you never know how long this is going to take, what the implications are to absolutely everything in the meantime, you know, from my shop all the way up to the big studios. Everyone's going to be losing money. So, and video games, we've had Final Fantasy VII was released. Well, actually, it's due to be released in 4 days, but we were told as Sorry, I don't know what happened there. Did you? I seem to cut out, but
you've been cutting out for ages on mine.
Yeah, not here though, so that's okay.
That's good.
We had we had a situation where Final Fantasy was shipped to shops early so they could ensure that it was out, and Square Enix said that they were happy for everyone to sell it early to make sure everybody got it, basically. The problem with that is that I cut down my physical copies because I didn't think I would be able to sell many, considering Square were pushing it online so much, and then ended up getting asked for it so much that I didn't end up getting one. I sold my last copy thinking that I'd be able to just phone them up the next day and get some more, and I phoned them up and they're like, no, there isn't any more. And there's not going to be any more. There is no more physical copies anywhere. You cannot get any more copies of it. You are actually stuck for not being able to get it unless you get it online now. So, which is a bit disappointing.
So have you gone online and bought it?
No. I haven't got any money. And whereas Sony have taken a very different approach, they have they have postponed the launch of Last of Us 2 indefinitely because they want to make sure that physical media is still the priority for people buying it. So, which is good for me, obviously, because that was due to come out while this is happening. So, and that's going to be absolutely massive. So we're going to need to get them in the shop anyway. So, I think ultimately everything is shit. So, apart from that, happy days.
There's been some silver linings from it all, though. There's been, as you say, there's been some early release onto digital format of some stuff. It's not been the greatest of films, like you say, Bloodshot and Invisible Man. But for the kids, Onward has been pushed onto Disney Plus almost straight away rather than the DVD releases. So great Pixar film out there for the younger audience. A lot of the TV streaming services have been releasing stuff a little bit earlier. Even the normal channels, I think BBC are releasing Killing Eve Series 3 earlier than it would have been. So, and as well as that, there's so many things out there, and I'm discovering this as a parent who's having to homeschool Isabel, is so many places are offering free subscriptions whilst this is going on as well. So a lot of the teaching tools that had cost you 35 quid a year, you're getting a month for free to use them. Some of the streaming services I've noticed have done reduced rates or extended free periods. And it's also a great opportunity for people to catch up on a hell of a lot of content as well.
Well, that's going to be our next subject. So you came up with the idea, James, to... actually, you might as well tell everyone.
Well, I said, obviously, this is our first isolation special, isn't it? Our lockdown special. And a lot of people listen to us for reviews, and our Christmas special was our top 10s of the decade. That's the decade, if Dan's listening. So I thought this was a good opportunity to talk about stuff that people can binge watch or catch up on whilst they're in lockdown, and it gives me a perfect opportunity to talk about one of the shows that I wasn't allowed to talk about in the decade, which is Community, which is nice and conveniently just been released onto Netflix.
Except it's not Community you're talking about.
No, it is Community. I'm not talking about Parks and Rec, it's Community.
Oh, right. I thought you didn't even mention Community.
I wanted to mention Community, but then I found out it came out in, 2009, in like November 2009.
Oh, well, never mind. Anyway, let's talk about something else then.
No, Community is fantastic. I'm already about 15 episodes in. So it's just been released, all 6 seasons onto Netflix. It's a Dan Harmon show. And the Russo brothers directed it as well, so you've got some big hitters in there. It launched careers of people like Joe McHale and Donald Glover, Childish Gambino, and Daniel Pudi, I think his name is. It's one of those offbeat comedies, completely surreal at times, and even if you just watch it for the after credits, no, not so much after credits, the very end sequences between Troy and Abed's character, it's just hilarious. And series 1, if you can get all the way through to Modern Warfare episode and watch that, it's, I think, Christian, you've seen it, haven't you? The paintball episodes from each series are just something you couldn't even describe. They're just hilarious. Chevy Chase is also in the first few series, or series, should I say, until he fell out with the showrunner. And there was a couple of bad series in the middle where Dan Harmon was sacked and it lost a lot of viewers. But when he was brought straight back when they realised it was struggling, and I can't recommend it enough to people. As I say, I'm like about 12 episodes, maybe more than that, in already from series 1, and I just forgot how funny it is. It's better than Parks and Rec, Drew. I know how you felt about Parks and Rec when you were watching it the other day. Dan Harmon was involved in both, I believe.
Oh, well, that's not a glowing recommendation then, is it? Christian, what I know you might as well just say it because I know what you're going to suggest people watch.
You absolutely know. I'm going to pick 3 series for totally different reasons. The first one only came out, the 6th season only came out in the UK about a week ago now, which is Brooklyn Nine-Nine. If you are one of those people who still hasn't seen it, okay, I'm very sorry to hear that, but watch it and it will get inside your head. I think the Netflix UK Twitter feed said if they had £1 for every time someone asked when the next season of Nine-Nine's on, they'd be rich. Well, I was thinking they probably are rich anyway, but let's not worry too much about that.
Possibly.
So that's on the Netflix side. I think it's on Amazon's side is Chuck. If you never saw Chuck, go see Chuck. Whether you like Adam Baldwin from Firefly, whether you watch Shazam and wanted to know where Zachary Levi came from, whether you heard all about this Chevy Chase guy and wanted to see him cameo at some point in the future, maybe even Scott Bakula as well, I believe, is in there. It is ridiculously awesome. And the third one, and Drew, I know you wanted me to talk about this one, is DC's Legends of Tomorrow.
Oh, really? What the hell?
Which I did put a little video out on this one because I've been watching the Arrowverse just to get up to track. And what I like about DC's Legends of Tomorrow is it's the problem child. It's the one which has got the characters that no one cares about. They are literally put together because they're expendable. And you get to a stage, I think it's halfway through season 2, where the writers go, do you know what, we're going to get cancelled. Let's just throw it all out there. And they throw it all out there and then they don't get cancelled. And they keep on going crazier and then they still don't get cancelled. And they are incredibly meta and incredibly funny and weird. And that, for me, makes it perfect. So, yeah, that's the one I'm sure you wanted me to talk about, Drew.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to recommend Parks and Recreation because I think it's definitely the best show of the last decade.
Sorry, Drew. It doesn't unfortunately, I think you'll find it was 2009, Drew.
Oh, in that case, I don't want anyone to watch it.
No, I'm going with Drew. I heard what he said. I'm liking that.
No, that show's crap.
He's genius.
I watched something the other day that I really loved, and if you haven't seen it, then I suggest you watch it. I think it's on Amazon Prime, but it's called Fleabag.
No, it's on BBC iPlayer, Drew.
All right, but I think it is on. Show. I think you can get it on Prime as well.
You can get it on Netflix as well because they've got BBC's content, I believe. So,
well, it's amazing. If you haven't seen it, watch it because it is just mad, and she's incredible, absolutely incredible. So I watched that. I watched all of that. That was really good. If you're looking for stuff to binge watch, you can't look further than Farscape, which again is all available now on Prime, and there is 5 seasons plus the special, I do believe. Or is it 4 seasons plus the special? Don't know. One of those two. But that's an incredible show made by the Henson Company. It's a sci-fi show. If you haven't seen it, then get on that because it is just possibly my favourite sci-fi show ever. Picard, obviously. I know some people have been giving that some hate, but I thought it was amazing. And I'm sure there's tons of others. I've been watching the new series of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which is just awesome. That show just doesn't fail at any point, I don't think. It's just consistently fantastic. And Terry Crews is probably just a god, I think.
But I think it's also an opportunity to go back and see things you never saw. I remember years ago going through a spate after Firefly got cancelled, of watching shows that got cancelled that never should have been cancelled. And the two random ones I'd throw out there, one of which I think people may have heard of, the other one maybe not, Dead Like Me, which was 2 series, if memory serves, and then got turned into a movie, so very much following the Firefly model on that one. And that was a genius television show. And the other one, a little bit more eclectic, is Wonderfuls, which was made by the executive producer of Buffy and Angel. And that got cancelled after, I think, 3/4 of a season. It's set in Niagara Falls, Toronto. It's about a girl who kind of talks to inanimate objects, and they help her fix things in life. And it's weird, but it's awesomely weird. And if you can get your hands on that, check it out. But it's one of those shows that once you really start enjoying it, they cancel it.
I think that could be an excellent subject for another one of our podcasts. You know, like shows that were cancelled before their time that people need to watch if they haven't watched it. The trouble is, I find it very difficult now. If somebody says to me, "Oh, watch this," it got cancelled after the first series, I'm like, well, no, because it's probably going to end on a cliffhanger, and that'll just piss me off. Because that's happened quite a few times. There was... James,
Save it.
No, James, you were going to say something, and I've forgotten what it was that I was... Oh, I don't know what it is. Forget. Shut up, James. If there's another show that people should check out, especially in these times, that will make you feel excellent, and that is My Name Is Earl. If you've never seen never seen My Name Is Earl, then watch that, because the testament I can pay to My Name Is Earl is it made my teenage son make a karma list, which is basically, anyone who hasn't seen it, basically what it is this guy decides to turn his life around after winning the lottery, and he gets hit by a car, and he's laying in the hospital bed, and there's something on the TV that's talking about karma, and he decides that because he's been a shit person his entire life, the karma has paid him back. So he then decides to make a karma list, which is going to go round and rectify all the crappy things that he's done so he can get some karmic balance back in his life. And it is heartwarming, it's charming, the characters are amazing, and like I say, the best testament I can pay to it is it made my teenage son make a karma list to go around to all the people he'd been crappy to and try to improve his life. So you can't, I mean, it only lasted about 2 weeks before he was shitty again, but, that's teenagers for you.
I think sorry, I was going to say, I think another thing is Disney Plus is surprisingly loaded with content. I thought I'd give it the 7-day free trial to start with, and thought, it's just going to be usual Disney stuff plus the Marvel plus Star Wars. And then going through it, the amount of stuff that's on there is fantastic. Original X-Men cartoon, the original things like DuckTales and stuff like that. The shows that I used to watch as a kid, as well as obviously the obvious ones of all the Marvel films on there, apart from the Spider-Man ones. So anybody looking for a binge watch of movies, I've got a few friends who are going to start watching the Marvel Universe because it's on Disney Plus. It's all there to view. The Star Wars is all on there apart from the latest one, obviously. Mandalorian slightly annoyingly being released weekly rather than just in one go because it's already all out in America. But Disney Plus is definitely worth the 7-day free trial without a doubt. And if you don't watch as much as you want within that 7 days, I think it's only $4.99 a month or $5.99 a month. It's cheaper than a lot of the streaming services.
Well, firstly, that's because they want to get market share, and secondly, most of the content you said is not Disney. It's when they bought Marvel, it's when they bought 20th Century Fox. They bought the video library. I mean, everything you said there isn't Donald, Daffy, Gaffy. Dean Gaffney as well. I mean, he'd be on Disney Plus. Go watch it.
But that's what I was saying. That's why it's surprising what's on there, because it's not just Disney stuff. It's
Fox.
It's Fox stuff, yeah. Like all the Simpsons, apart from the latest series, that's all on there.
Do you know what's good about doing this as a video kind of / audio podcast is that I don't have to edit it. I can just put it out, and people will just have to accept the fact that it's not going to be very good. So,
and thank you for that screenshot. That's my new phone screensaver.
You do know that when you're doing this, when people are watching it back, they will be able to see that you've just been acting like a bellend the entire time, right?
Well, you say that.
Those messages won't come up on the record, Drew.
They will.
I don't think they do, because they come up separately away from the feed.
We shall see. And if they don't, then I'd just like to point out that Christian's been a dick the entire time we've been doing this. So,
Well, otherwise, Drew said I can't be his friend because he needs someone to be just like him. And James is normal and nice.
James has shaved his beard off, and it keeps freaking me out.
So that's the bit that's
Isabel's
freaking you out.
told me
It's
I'm not
the
allowed
wine.
to grow it.
He's
In my
in there having a nice
Avengers
rosé.
glass.
What on earth are you drinking?
It's red. In
Red
my
what?
Avengers glass. Red wine.
Yeah, but what red wine?
It's red.
It's red.
Don't you know? It's just red.
Cote de Rhone, nice French. This is what's left over from getting pissed with my mates at the weekend over house party.
On a serious point, wine tasting with James. What do you like about his red?
Yeah.
I don't like much wine.
I'm getting a lot of red and a bit of maroon.
I'm a trained sommelier.
Are you now?
No. Did a bit of training when we opened the hotel a few years back, but I couldn't tell you anything about it.
Apart from that, it was red.
No, all I can tell you is we were pissed by the end because none of us were spitting it out in the bucket.
No, Drew, no. No.
Oh, I've got to.
Just let it hang.
Oh,
No,
man.
he's already had his fair share of porn comments today, hasn't he? Drew in Pornhub.
I'm amazed he hasn't talked about the free trial he's getting.
So, I think probably we've pretty much done everything that we were intending on doing today. I don't think there's anything else. So let's move on to any other business. James showing off his Photoshop skills.
I've got this new laptop now. It's going to get so much better.
Yeah, good luck with that. So let's move on to any other business. James, have you got any?
Can people just start and stay the fuck at home? Because I'd really like to actually get out at some point this year and maybe see my family. Maybe go to my parents and pick up the pram because I have a baby due in 4 weeks. And currently don't have a pram because it's with my parents who are both extremely vulnerable. And because people decided at the weekend they wanted to go out and sunbathe in the park, we are probably on another 2 weeks before we'll actually hit the peak. And these fucking idiots don't understand what effect it has on those of us that can't go and get on with our jobs, which I'm sure frustrates you as well, Drew, because at the end of the day, if we can't...
Not in the slightest. This is the longest time where I haven't had to stress about anything for absolutely ages. I'm sitting at home on my own, learning stuff, playing guitar, setting my studio up, sitting out in the sun, reading books and doing videos. I mean, at the moment, I'm living the best life. Do you know what I mean? It's like I haven't...
That side of it is great, but when the money runs out...
I don't have any money anyway, so I'm quite happy to live on nothing. I run a comic shop for a living, man. I don't get money. What the hell?
He is Stu.
I know, but you've got to be able to run that comic book shop to actually pay the rent, haven't you?
Nah. What are they going to do? Throw me out? Don't think so. But the thing is, right, I understand that everyone should be staying at home, but then the government say you're allowed to go out for an hour-long walk every day for exercise, right? Now, if everybody goes, it's a lovely day, I'm going to go for a walk to the park, what are they supposed to do? Get to the park and go, oh, actually, there's like 8 people in the park, I need to go home. You know, so,
yeah, but they weren't just going for a walk to the park. They were gathering, they were having picnics, they were sunbathing in groups. It's like, yeah, go and have a walk in the park, but 3,000 people are sending on one of the the London parks had to be shut because they weren't just walking and they weren't trying to walk 2 meters apart. They were gathering and catching up with mates. It's ridiculous.
I think there's a difference between going out for an hour's exercise and going out for an hour's exercise while carrying a picnic basket and a disposable barbecue. Now, I don't know about you and what your weight training program is, but if I'm doing exercise, I don't normally carry barbecues with me.
Well, that's where you're going wrong. That's why you're a weed. Carry a barbecue, man. You know what? You should always carry a barbecue. If the sun's out, have a barbecue at hand all times.
I think the thing is, I've got a few more concerns about it. Like at the moment, there's every possibility that my wife's got to give birth on her own. Like I might not even be allowed into the hospital with her. If this lockdown carries on and things get tighter, my wife's scared to death. So it's like you're enjoying the relaxing at home. I'm enjoying the relaxing at home. I'm enjoying teaching Isabel.
It's not my fault your wife's going to have a baby, man. Don't have a go at me about it.
No, I'm having a go at you. I'm having a go at the public that just can't follow the guidelines, including the Scottish medical officer who decided to go to their second home and had to apologise for it. It's if the government can't follow their own guidance, then what chance do we stand with Stupid Street out there?
I think just to put it into perspective...
No more wine for that guy.
Yeah, I don't see the lockdown being removed in 4 weeks, even if everyone stays in every single day, to be blunt. People are being furloughed to the 31st of May. I think that deadline's soft. I think it's going to get extended. There's a lot of people, just to go dark for a second and I'll bring it back. There's a lot of people saying, wait to the summer. It will get better in the summer. It won't, because if it all got better in the summer, there'll be no viruses left in the winter. They carry on transmitting just a bit slower. And this one's not that pretty. So I think this is going to be something for the medium term. It's something to get used to. Life is going to be a little bit different in between, but everyone who is sensible, who socially distances, who stays to themselves, is minimising the risk to themselves, minimising the risk to other people. And you can't control how long it's going to last, but you can control, hopefully, whether you will last it. And that for me is the most important thing in this. Whether we get out in June, July, August, or even September, that's for other people to decide.
Absolutely. I mean, everybody should be staying at home. I mean, I say that as I'm about to go over to Sam's tomorrow, but the thing is, I'm going to be leaving here, going there, staying there, and then coming back here to do my work. So it is. I'm not going to be interacting with anybody but them who have been stuck in their house and me who's been stuck in my house. So,
but you have done the right thing and you've isolated for 2 weeks. So it's not like you're just going to start going between the two. You've isolated for 2 weeks. They've isolated for 2 weeks. All of you know that you're safe, and the fact that you can now go between houses, you've done it the right way. So it's not just a case of you're buggering off.
No, that's true, but, we've got to go via the park with our picnic as well, so,
I had a game of five-a-side up at Tide Barn. Yeah.
No, they're closed, unfortunately, the five-a-side pitches. I went there yesterday. I didn't. I don't need to. I've got a massive garden. It's like, living where I live is great, It's like, it's not my massive garden. It belongs to my landlady, but, it's still a massive garden.
If anybody's ever played football with Drew, they'll know that Drew can play football on his own because he doesn't really pass it when he's in a team.
I only ever pass it to people who are better than me, James. Is there any other business other than telling people how shit they are? Was there any other business related to anything that isn't kind of James accusing me of pissing his wife off who's going to go into hospital?
I was not accusing you, Drew. You've been doing the right thing. I was accusing the general public.
James, home birth. Problem solved.
No, I was saying this on the family conference yesterday. Drew, Christian was there. That I'm going to have to start watching some YouTube videos on how to deliver a baby.
Just what you do is you sit her in the bath and you squeeze her head until it comes out. And isn't that how it works? Something like that.
You've got to blow into her nose at the same time, Drew.
I'm not getting all... Yeah, that's weird. You're weird, James.
All right, Moby.
So, was there any other business?
I've been playing a lot more video games, which has been nice. I found a lot more time for that.
Has it been FIFA by any chance?
No, I've been playing Jedi The Fallen Order.
Wow.
I've been playing an actual storyline video game.
Holy shit.
And
This is the apocalypse.
Yeah, and a bit of Call of Duty as well. Season 3 is due out quite soon, so Call of Duty's been quite interesting this time around with the regular seasons and the new challenges. But yeah, Fallen Order, I've been really enjoying that.
Okay.
And I just wish some of the other games could come out sooner, like Avengers, but that's wishful.
That's going to be delayed. Iron Man VR's been delayed, so which is annoying because I was going to get a free VR headset to give away as a prize when that came out, and we were going to give it away on the podcast. So that's something to look forward to as and when it ever comes out, if they now don't return around and go, no, you're not having that now. I've just been playing Uncharted because the Uncharted trilogy was released on PSN for free, so I went back and have played through 1, 2 and 3 back to back, and I am currently on number 4, and I'm going to play number 4 and then The Lost Legacy, and have played through from start to finish the entire thing. And I'll be honest, Uncharted 2 and 3 are just such amazing games, and if you have never played them, you need to play them because they are just phenomenal. Number 2 is just spectacular, it really is. Other than that, I've been making videos and putting content out on YouTube and stuff, and trying to do things that are entertaining, and hopefully don't turn your fucking nose up, Christian, you dick. And hopefully
I was going to say, and some of us are going to start giving you a little bit of material to use. Dan's already started, hasn't he?
Well, he's kind of started, but he hasn't managed to send it to me yet because he doesn't know how WeTransfer or Google Drive works. So
there could be some interesting content on Gobsmack TV if people keep their eyes out.
Hopefully, yes. So if you haven't checked out our YouTube channel, it is called Gobsmack TV UK. So you can go youtube.com/Gobsmack TV UK. You can check out the content we've been putting out there. There's book reviews. I've done question and answer sessions where people just ask me random crap. Mainly these other idiots that are in the podcast have been sending me bizarre things. But and we're going to hopefully be doing some more content as we go along. Like James says, Dan has done a very interesting video, which we will get up as and when we're able to. But please check it out because we're trying to make things as entertaining as possible for you and keep as much content coming as we possibly can. Anything else you want to add, guys?
I think for me, watching this last weekend, they finally released WrestleMania, which is the sport for people who aren't into virtual horse racing or Belarusian football. It's weird watching sport play out in this age. It kind of reminded me a little bit of reading The Stand by Stephen King and talking about how they made TV shows whilst the apocalypse was starting. And it feels a little bit like that at times. But do you know what? I'm just grateful for some new content because you can't keep watching the same things over and over again. And it's nice to have a little bit of distraction in this otherwise more troubling time.
But it was crap.
It was a work of genius.
It was absolute crap. Honestly, I hadn't realised quite how rubbish wrestling is without the crowd reaction. It was terrible.
It's surreal.
It was so weird because the commentators, the people in the ring could hear the commentator. So he's like, oh, and he's done an illegal low blow. And the referee's just going, well, yeah, I'm just ignoring the fact that I can actually hear that guy standing next to me saying that. You know, so... But
then I think you had that, was it Sami Zayn's match where he was then responding to the commentator as he was commentating on him? It went to absolutely amazing meta moments. But I think also they've been doing that for 2 weeks beforehand. So if you hadn't watched the shows leading up and got used to this way of producing it, going to WrestleMania cold is going to be really weird. Go on.
There was no getting used to it. I've as you do, we watch it weekly, and I just can't get used to it. AEW managed very well the first week of the lockdown to create some content that felt like it was still happening. Like they had a lot of the wrestlers sat ringside, and there was a lot of interactions. And then from there on, their wrestlers couldn't travel, so it became even their content wasn't as good. But WWE, from the moment they moved into the Performance Center, it has just felt weird. There was segments with The Miz and Morrison basically talking to a crowd that wasn't there. Like, everything they did was crowd orientated, and it's just like, you've got to adapt that.
Yeah, they've been rehearsing those sections for so long. And it's almost embarrassing that they made them do, like, the ring walks, because they're coming down and they're going up, and all the fireworks are going off, and you're like, there's no one there, dude. Just get them to walk to the ring and fight. Don't do all the fucking pomp and ceremony, because it's just pointless. They're not performing to anyone. I mean, I did feel sorry for them, because they've got to try and sell the fact that they are hitting each other, which they're not, right? Now, that can get lost in a lot of the noise and camera angles and all this other stuff and the general atmosphere. So the fights that did still look pretty good are exceptional, I think, and would have been incredible on a big stage. But to be honest, there really wasn't a lot worth watching, I didn't think. And
Firefly Funhouse.
That was terrible. I think that is possibly the worst thing I've ever seen. I was just like, are they actually going to fight each other, or are they just going to pretend that John Cena's having some sort of nervous breakdown?
It was brilliant.
Acid trip.
It was
so this is the thing. Because of what was going on, it gave them a bit of an opportunity to try some different stuff. Yeah. And the Boneyard match almost paid off, but it still just felt like really bad action movie acting, and just felt
it wasn't that
weird.
Good. It was,
yeah. My mate did say that, actually. He says that doesn't give bad actors justice. Like the soundtrack in the background and everything, it was surreal. But the Firefly Funhouse, I couldn't work out what the hell was going on.
I couldn't watch it. I watched it for about a minute, and I was just like, screw this, skip. It's just like,
It was genius. It was. Yeah.
Your definition of genius and my definition of genius are very, very different.
There is a fine line between genius and insanity, and it skirted that line several times. It was
there's a very thick line between genius, insanity, and shit. And it was
Drew,
just,
as it's otherwise known.
It was just shit, mate. You can't pin a tail on it and call it a dog.
The saddest thing about it all is tonight's Monday Night Raw, because the Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania is usually a very British crowd. Yeah. Very, a lot of Brits who travelled over there. And it is usually the loudest, most weirdest chants going on. And it is usually the best atmosphere of any Raw of the year. Yeah. And for them to produce Raw, they've probably already produced it, to be honest. They've probably pre-recorded it.
They pre-taped.
But to do Raw the night after WrestleMania without that crowd that just starts dancing to Fandango's entrance music, or some of the stuff that goes on with the crowd the night after Raw, you see people in the crowd with a Stoke City shirt on. It's just surreal, and that's just not going to happen tonight, and that's a very unfortunate side effect of all this.
What is more unfortunate than that is that there's people out there who actually choose to wear a Stoke City shirt. I mean, watching their football team's like watching wrestling anyway, isn't it? Let's be honest.
That's more like rugby, up and under.
But I mean, even this form of escapism, and the nice thing is they're doing something different, and you can like it, you can hate it, but you feel something about it. The challenge is going to be Florida have now locked down pretty much. So WWE did a lot of pre-taping stuff. I think they've maybe got this week. I can't remember hearing if they got more beyond that, but they haven't got a lot more content to go. So even that's going to grind to a halt. And then we're back to the virtual horse racing and the Belarusian football to keep us going.
Screw that. They should play all of the old WrestleManias like they're live. That would be cool.
But the trouble is...
There's so much more content going on WWE.com recently, and some of it's very interesting behind the scenes. They've followed The Undertaker since 2017, and they put the teaser out after last night's Mania, and it looks fantastic. There's the 24-hour Chronicles of Edge coming back from injury, which followed him for years. They've put a lot of content out there to keep people with something to watch, and all the WrestleManias on there. And Raw and SmackDown, they've basically been replaying key matches. Like they showed the Ric Flair retirement match on SmackDown on Friday,
Yeah.
They showed the entire Royal Rumble on Raw 2 weeks ago. So they haven't got enough content out there. They are showing some of that classic stuff. And I think over the coming weeks, that's exactly what's going to happen. You're going to see some of the greatest WrestleManias, some of the greatest Royal Rumbles are all just going to be played out instead.
Ultimate Warrior versus Hulk Hogan. Let's go.
That was my first match.
That is my era. When I used to
that was my first match, and I used to like it at the time. And then when you started to watch the Bret Harts, the Shawn Michaels, they redefined what good was. And then you saw Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon, and they redefined what good was. And then you saw the Firefly Funhouse match, and it just redefined good for the new era again. Every new era.
Well, I'm glad...
Tucker Dolph Ziggler as well. You mustn't forget that absolute epitome of quality entertainment.
Otis, Dolph Ziggler, that was an
Otis, sorry.
Match. Otis. Yeah, sorry,
I have to say that the people who made the Funhouse match thing, and there's going to be a lot of people listening to this who have no idea what you're talking about. The people who made that, at least they appealed to one person on the planet, and that's you, Christian, because you are a very warped, sick man. So,
but to be fair, you need to see the other 10 minutes of the match rather than just the first minute to see how much more twisted and crazy it becomes. It's an absolute love letter to wrestling over the years.
I just skipped through it, and at one point there was a couple of puppets doing commentary, and one of them said, "This is shit," and I was like, "Yes, it is." So well done for.
That's why I say it's brilliant. But let me put it this way: did you watch the Goldberg match?
Yes,
that was the whole
in full.
Yes. So
you watched the Goldberg match in full, but you didn't watch Firefly Funhouse, and you're telling me I'm crazy?
Well, I like Goldberg.
So, Goldberg was cool 20 years ago.
I don't know if he was ever cool, but I just like him. He's a nice guy.
Is that because you often get mistaken for him?
I wish. He's massive. I'm tiny. Anyway, let's leave WrestleMania there, because I think we've probably lost every viewer / listener since we started talking about it. So,
or just gained some.
I think that we should just leave the entire show there. We've been going for an hour, so that seems about a good place to leave it. So, if you did like this weird concoction of weirdness, then please do go check out our Facebook page, check out our YouTube channel. We're putting content up all the time. Please subscribe, and share everything. And we will hopefully see you soon. Now we know that this works. Well, providing it works, as when I go back to listen to it, it might be absolute garbled mess. But that's probably just us talking. So, James, Christian, I really appreciate your time, and thank you very much.
Good evening.
Thank you.